two. Taking a roll here and seeing who's all here. I see Maureen is here. We've got Dave. Is that Dave Bruce?
Yep.
Yes, Dave Bruce.
All right. Sheila Becker, Sam with Markin and Johnson. Hello. Chris Toma, I see is on from the DOC. Jeff Mueller, Tom Weber. Hello. And then iPad 4.
That's Justin.
Yes. And then, all right, we've got Karen and Marcia is on, I see, as well as Marie and Aaron and Tyler. Hello, Tyler. Okay.
Hello.
Okay, so a few things on the agenda. Just wanted to give you guys an update on where we were at with a couple of items we had on the updates from the last meeting. The last time we met, we were awaiting the state plan review. We did get a final approval December 23rd. So we got their stamped drawings. Oh, sorry, I gotta get the power on. And then what that did is enable the Markin and Johnson to get the the building permit issued, which Sam, you guys got, I guess date-wise, I don't know if it matters per se, but you were able to get all of the documents you needed from the state, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got everything that we need currently just to
Oh, hey,
allow
Josh.
our inspections.
Okay. And so then what Markin and Johnson has been doing is working directly with the state of Minnesota who's doing the inspections. And so there's specific code required inspections that are required at every stage of the construction. So right now, as footings are being poured and the rebar is being laid up, the state inspector is going to be on site at periodic stages to make certain that the construction is meeting the construction documents and the structural design. So I think, yeah, was it last week was the first inspection, right, Josh and Sam?
Yeah, yep. Last week we made our first footing pour, and then actually then on Tuesday of this week we did another a pretty nice pour. We were able to catch the screen wall, foundation wall, and then that whole entire west wall line. I think it's grid line 1. We were able to get all that in one pour. And then also something to note too on there, Danielle, is along with the state inspector, we do have Braun on site all the time. And Braun also inspects all the rebar and anything structural. So we got, I guess we're double covered there with inspections.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good note. So in addition to the state inspection, yes, there's a third-party inspector who's making certain that everything's jiving as well. So yeah, good call. I guess that ties into the soils correction scope of work. So it's my understanding that majority of the soil correction work is completed for where you're excavating right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say we're probably in the 70-ish percent done with that soil corrections on there. We did lose today due to cold and potentially tomorrow as well. But we do have ground thaw units that we are utilizing on site too to keep that scope of work moving along the best that we can.
Yeah, I think from what I saw is there, was it just last week? I'm impressed with the schedule, and I think you guys are really moving along. So yeah, kudos to you. I think the other topic I wanted to discuss was schedule. But Steve, is there anything on the project update side before we jump into schedule that you want to highlight or talk about for the rest of the group?
No, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but maybe as we go along,
Okay.
there's something that will jingle it.
Yeah, something will
Josh
pop
or
up.
Sam brings
Okay.
up something, but I just would want to talk sometime on the project side, just on the link and the tunnel and the fire suppression and stuff,
Yeah.
just so the members in the group can just be
Yeah,
on
I was
the
gonna say,
knowledgeable.
Steve, the only one thing we kind of could probably just update everyone on is that we actually are in the existing jail doing more work than we were kind of intending on at the beginning. We were actually kind of waiting, we were going to wait to do some of that work, you know, a few months down the road, but with the jail being, you know, with very few inmates in there, we've utilized taking as much area as we could and get some cells and tape that off and hopefully get dispatch and that stuff built back sooner than later, that like we were planning on the project. So I think that's one thing that we've actually jumped on that's been a good positive here. So
Yeah. Yeah, from what I can tell too, it sounds like you guys have done a really good job of making certain that, you know, you're addressing noise mitigation and making certain that any
smoke.
air quality, smell, all of that is taken care of. So yeah, it sounds like
So
that's
we've
going-
been able to now with like the cold days here today and tomorrow, with it being 10 below, 20 below, I think, with wind chills and stuff, we're able to utilize the labor that we have outside, and that's what we're able to bring them inside and focus on some of that demo, so that way we are continue moving forward with the overall project.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Yeah, I think, if I don't know if it's Sam or Josh or Tyler want to give a kind of overall update on where we're at in the schedule and maybe a couple months look ahead.
All right. I don't know how detailed we want to get in on here. I do have a fairly detailed schedule for the tunnel tie-in. I guess roughly as I have it sitting right now, I believe that tunnel tie-in work is going to run till towards the mid to the end of March, with all the different steps and processes we have to take in that. There's a lot of smaller pours, and then waterproofing, and then backfilling, and then another small pour, waterproof backfilling. It's just a lot of steps in there, a lot of one-day steps in there for that. Overall schedule, we are continuing on with footings and foundations. I would have to say, weather depending, within a month and a half, we should be getting really close to wrapping up the foundations and just kind of down into the tunnel tie-in area. That'll probably be the last area that we finish up on with the foundations. Inside, we are looking at getting the demo completed on the north wall of the south corridor, so that way, I think on February 7th that week, that we'll have masons on site to lay up that interior CMU wall, and then that will help mitigate the dust and noise, and then we'll complete the remaining amount of demo that's inside the existing jail on that portion.
Okay, awesome. I know you mentioned detailed tunnel tie-in. So Steve, I don't know how much detail you want to get in with this group, or is it worth just mentioning that there will, at what point will it be down? Is that really the goal? Sorry. I think you were on mute, Steve. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I was actually talking to someone else on the phone. I missed what you asked.
No. So I just wanted to make certain that we got covered with the committee what you wanted to do for the tunnel tie-in. I know Josh has that detailed plan, which, like you mentioned, there's so many steps to get all of the waterproofing and all the footings and everything laid in. But yeah, so is it really just the goal here to say, okay, at what point are we anticipating the tunnel will not, it won't be in use, and for approximately 2 months, 3 months?
I would. Josh can actually probably pick the date better, and this thing is so fluid that the dates change from day to day. But we're looking at probably actually.
I can share my screen if you would like for to show that breakdown.
Oh yeah.
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 So why the things change so much is with this weather. This is like juggling a ball, and when one's too hot to hang on to, meaning the cold weather, meaning they can't really function very good outside. So that's why we started making the system keep continuing, and we started doing more interior work. So we've got our block 6 and our block 7, majority of it's all gutted out. So now they're going to continue on the rest of the gutting out of the demolition in the jail, which is now what this nice schedule showing the short-term interval. Go for it.
Yeah, I don't, Josh, I don't think you need to walk through every single detail of it, but mostly just kind of I think the overall duration we're looking at for this tunnel tie-in, I mean, we are going to be start digging here in the next couple weeks. Obviously with weather, we don't want to open up a big hole and have everything freeze. So that's kind of why we're waiting probably to start after this cold stretch here. But then, like you can see on the schedule, there's a pile of tasks that got to happen, and one after another. So I mean, it's a couple month project for sure to get that. Precast isn't showing up till late March for that tunnel area. So I mean, if we're starting here in the next couple of weeks, it's for sure a 2-month process to get it probably up to grade, I would say. I don't know, Josh, if there's anything else you want to talk about that.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much wraps it up. You know, we're shooting for next week to start excavating in that area, and then I believe we're looking at possibly cutting into the tunnel tentatively the last week of January, first week of February, depending on weather there when we actually cut into the tunnel. But I guess the long and short of it is we're looking at precast and structural steel, towards the end of March, and then we'll be back up to grade and able to continue on with that portion.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Marcia here. I have a question.
Yeah.
It's not more on the construction, but it's more on the operations. Okay, we have this magic tunnel that we've always praised for years, and now we're going to bust into it. It's going to be non-functional. How are we what are we doing with prisoners? Are they sitting in Steve Buswell's office and waiting to go over to the courthouse, or what are we doing there?
That's
Because
a
you're
great
tearing up a whole lot more. Your timeline is you're tearing up a whole lot more than you had planned on. So have you got a plan to deal with that issue?
That's a great question. So the timeline's the same. We planned on making the link anyway, so they're going to have to connect the current tunnel with the new tunnel extension and the link in between the two buildings. But so what we have done is going back, COVID sort of assisted with part of this operations by doing things virtually. For a long time, we had a difficult time getting that to happen, but with COVID, we're able to do a great majority of that virtually. And then the ones that were compelled to by statute to take over the court, i.e. hearings and certain hearings, those people will actually take a different entrance into the courthouse, go down through the basement, and then back up through the secured elevator. So we won't be coming in the front of the courthouse with the public. We'll probably be coming in the back door. And that's probably a surprise to like Karen right now, because she hasn't heard it, because we just actually started discussing this, because we're just starting to knock on the door discussing the tunnel. So sort of the cart before the horse with the notifications, but since some of these people are on here, they're hearing it now.
Well,
So
if I can intervene here, I heard it 2 days ago and was a little bit I'll just say miffed, but because it's exposing some of my staff to potential whatevers, but we're locking all our doors. The other thing this may be happening later this afternoon, or just a heads up. But there's speculation that the Minnesota Supreme Court is going to require all hearings to be Zoom again because of COVID. So we may not need to bring people over to the courthouse. So keep an eye out for that.
Great. That would be great news, and I hope that Winona County continues to advocate for using technology versus lock them up and put them behind bars and transporting them. I hope we advocate for using technology, Zoom.
Well, and we use it a lot, Marcia. I mean, actually, during until this time that the Supreme Court may be issuing this order, any attorney, any defendant could request that a hearing be by Zoom because of the COVID concerns. So,
Well, the world is changing. Starbucks
It
no
is.
longer requires masks. I think it was the hot news off the press. Starbucks is changing their policy.
Thank you for that question. Yeah, pertinent information. Any other questions about project schedule?
Well, it's not necessarily specifically on the jail, but just to let you know, when so with the jail construction site, there's a fencing that went around there for safety concerns to make sure that the general public or employees don't get into the construction zone. They're done everywhere, so it's done here. And if you ever have gone by the courthouse lately, you also notice that there's a greater spot that's been roped off in between the law enforcement center and the courthouse. So approximately a month or so ago, during that windy storm that came through, and we went from about a 60-degree day down to about like a 20-degree day, the high winds came through and then busted up a bunch of the slates on the top of the courthouse. With the snow slowly melting away, you can see a lot of that slate on the bottom. So if you see somebody, I would hope that everybody reminds everyone else to please stay out of there. There's still slate falling from the roof going down there. And you can see footprints going through that area. So obviously people are still cheating and going through there. So I would say that that's a pretty serious don't go. It's roped off. It's got signs. There's barrels there. Besides building a huge wall at a huge expense, there's not much more we can really do. But that also is one of the reasons why we looked at coming in the back side of that courthouse, is because if we were to go around with inmates without that roof fixed, it'd be too far for us to go around. But yeah, go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, Stephen Karn, go out there and pick up those tiles, and we'll sell them as commemorative historical roofing tiles. We'll generate some revenue. So don't throw them away. Save them.
we'll try to remember that. Actually, we could make a lot of money if we made impressions of all the gargoyles and everything else on the courthouse. So that's another project.
Yes, we
maybe
could.
in the future.
There's
Yes.
Chief Deputy Mueller has one in his hand. If that was
Wow.
one on the head, they're a goner. That is actually pretty heavy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But you can save that one for Tom Weber, because we can write on there the slate of hope that the Packers would have when they lose, they can say, well, better next time.
I just want everybody to remember there's only one team from the North Division playing this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for the reminder. Oh, all right. Well, yeah, gotta get that in there.
Yep.
Looking at the schedule, so looking a month out, February, I think 24th is Thursday. Does that work for everybody for the next committee meeting?
That's for me.
9 a.m. Okay.
Yep.
All right. We'll get that on the schedule. Get the invite set out. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
Have a great day.
You too.
Happy New Year.
Stay warm. It is Minnesota.
Oh yeah.